Imagine this. You're in a small cafe in Africa, a tech hub in India, or an oil market in the Middle East. And even though each place has its own local currency, one name keeps popping up behind the scenes: the US dollar. No matter where you go, whether it's trading gold, buying oil, securing investments, or protecting national reserves, the dollar is the invisible backbone of the global economy. But here's the question. In a world with rising powers like China, new digital currencies, and growing debates about de-dollarization, why does the world still rely so heavily on the US dollar? The story begins with trust. Money, at its core, isn't about the paper in your hand or the numbers in your bank. It's about confidence, the belief that the value will hold tomorrow, that the promise behind it won't collapse overnight. And for nearly 80 years, the US dollar has represented exactly that. After World War II, the global economy was in ruins. Nations needed a stable anchor to rebuild trade and finance. The US, untouched by the destruction that ravaged Europe and Asia, emerged as the world's economic powerhouse. Through the Bretton Woods Agreement in 1944, the dollar was tied directly to gold, and other currencies were tied to the dollar. For the first time, the world had a central standard, and it just happened to be American. But even when that gold standard ended in the 1970s, the dollar didn't lose power. In fact, it gained more. Why? Because the US had something even more valuable than gold: the biggest economy, the deepest financial markets, and unmatched military and political influence. Let's take oil as an example. In the 1970s, the U.S. struck deals with major oil producers like Saudi Arabia, ensuring that crude oil would be priced and sold in dollars. This created what's known as the petrodollar system. From that moment, if a country wanted to buy energy, the lifeblood of every economy, it needed dollars. That single decision locked the dollar at the heart of global trade. But it's not just oil. Today, more than 80% of global trade is conducted in dollars, even when the U.S. isn't directly involved. A company in Brazil buying goods from South Korea, chances are that deal is priced in dollars. Central banks around the world, they hold the majority of their reserves in dollars, not euros, not yen, not yuan. And here's why: liquidity and stability. The U.S. financial system is the largest and most liquid in the world. If you want to move billions of dollars quickly and safely, there's no alternative. U.S. Treasury bonds, essentially IOUs from the American government, are considered the safest investment on earth. In times of crisis, when markets panic, money doesn't flee to gold or crypto first. It floods into dollars. That's the paradox. Even when the crisis starts in America, like the 2008 financial crash, the world still runs to the dollar for safety. Why? Because no other currency has the same combination of scale, trust, and global infrastructure. Now, this doesn't mean there aren't challengers. China has been pushing the yuan as a global alternative. The European Union has the euro, and digital currencies, from Bitcoin to central bank digital tokens, promise a decentralized future. But the reality is, these competitors face massive hurdles: political instability, smaller financial markets, limited convertibility, and a lack of trust. So for now and for the foreseeable future, the US dollar remains the world's anchor.
But here's where the story gets interesting. If the dollar is so dominant, why are we hearing so much about the world trying to move away from it? The truth is, the US dollar's dominance isn't without friction. Countries like Russia, China, and even some US allies have grown uneasy with how much power the dollar gives Washington. Because when your currency is the backbone of global finance, you don't just have influence, you have leverage. Take sanctions, for example. When the US government wants to punish another country, whether it's Russia, Iran, or North Korea, it doesn't always send soldiers. It restricts access to the dollar. And since global banks and companies need dollars to survive, those sanctions bite hard. This weaponization of the dollar has made many nations uncomfortable. They ask, why should the US hold the keys to the global vault? Then there's China. With the world's second largest economy, China has been pushing for the yuan to play a bigger global role. Initiatives like the Belt and Road Project often encourage trade in yuan instead of dollars. Russia, after being cut off from Western financial systems, also turned toward the yuan and other currencies. Even the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, have openly discussed creating an alternative reserve currency. So why hasn't the dollar collapsed under this pressure? Because switching the world's money system isn't as simple as flipping a switch. Trust and infrastructure matter more than ambition. The dollar is supported by a massive ecosystem: Wall Street, U.S. Treasury bonds, a global network of banks, and the sheer volume of dollars already circulating worldwide. Replacing that isn't just difficult, it's nearly impossible in the short term. Think of it like this. Imagine the entire internet is built around English. You can try to start a global movement to replace it with Spanish or Mandarin, but how do you change billions of websites, documents, and users all at once? The network effect is too strong. That's exactly what the dollar has, a head start that's compounded for decades. And while challengers like the yuan look strong on paper, they come with baggage. China's financial markets are tightly controlled. Investors worry about transparency, government intervention, and political risk. The euro? It's strong, but the European Union's fragmented politics make it less stable in times of crisis. Even cryptocurrencies, which some claim will replace fiat currencies, struggle with volatility, scalability, and regulation. So when push comes to shove, global investors, governments, and corporations keep circling back to the same conclusion. The dollar may not be perfect, but it's the safest bet in an uncertain world. And that's the core reason the world still needs the US dollar. It's not just about economics, it's about trust, stability, and the ability to function as a common language for global trade. Until another system can match that on every front, the dollar remains king. So in conclusion, the world may flirt with alternatives, it may experiment with new systems, but when crises hit and the stakes are highest, one truth remains. The global economy still runs on green paper with American presidents printed on it.